What's up, guys? It's your boy APFC. I'm doing a video today on Pablo Mari, the impending centre-back signing for Arsenal. Finally, we are looking to sign a centre-back, but is he the answer to our problems? I will go through this in the video. Let me know what you think of the video, guys. Subscribe if you're new. There's going to be plenty more content coming throughout this season and further beyond. Pablo Mari, he is 26 years old. He currently plays for Flamengo in the Serie A in Brazil. He's 193 centimeters and he is left-footed. Don't think we've had a left-footed centre-back since Thomas Vermaelen. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure he was left-footed. He is part of quite a successful unit where Flamengo in the last year have won the league. Currently, they are winning the league by 14 points. They're on 90 points. I think the second best team is on around 74. 15 to 16 points. But most importantly, he's in a team that has won the equivalent of the UEFA Champions League in South America, the Copa Libertadores. Quite a historic win for them, as Flamengo, quite a big club in Brazil, had not won it, I think, in just around 20 years or so. And they very recently, I think it was about 1 to 2 months ago, broke that duct. And they are a very, very successful unit in that part of the world. Pablo Mari started his career in sort of the lower divisions in Spain, as he is Spanish, and basically got well known because he got a move to Manchester City, not necessarily to play for them, but it allowed Manchester City to move him on in one of the other teams in the City footballing group, Girona being one of those teams which is in the Segunda division in Spain, and he got the move there. Had a couple of seasons there before moving to Flamengo in the Brazilian Serie A, and that is really where he has hit the best form of his career. Something about Pablo Mari is that unfortunately he's never played at any level for Spain, and he has never played in the top division in Spain. So I'll go through sort of what the details are with this transfer. As I said before, he was spotted in an airport with Edu in Brazil. And apparently the destination of that flight was going to London. Apparently we're looking to loan him with an option to buy at the end of the season. Obviously, these Brazilian players seem to be a little bit more of a theme now, simply because we have Edu at the club and he seems to have connections within that footballing industry, in that side of the world. So to give you through some of his qualities, we'll go through his qualities and then I'll go through his cons after that. So being 193 centimeters, Pablo Mari is quite an physically imposing player. I've watched highlight packages in the last hour and a half or so, and I've noticed that when it comes to physical battles when he's going shoulder to shoulder with an attacker, 9 times out of 10, Pablo Mari is coming out of that with the ball. Not only is he very comfortable in sort of those physical duels, he's also very comfortable in getting pressed. He's quite a decent ball-playing centre-back. What you'd sort of expect from Brazilian centre-backs. Obviously, they're not notoriously very well known for their defending aspect, playing in that role, but when he is getting pressed, a positive of his game is that he doesn't seem to have any difficulty with that. There was many times where I watched in the highlight packages where he has his back to goal, he has his back to the attacker, he's facing his own goalkeeper, and he doesn't really have any difficulty getting out of those situations. He's happy to turn a player. He's very comfortable in that respect, and he can beat a man, and he can obviously look for that long ball, something that our centre-backs currently right now are quite good at doing. He's got good anticipation. He's got very good anticipation. Unlike some of the centre-backs that we currently have or the centre-backs we've had in the past, he doesn't seem to dive into tackles too early. He tries to stay on his feet as long as he possibly can. But what I've noticed is that when he does go down to feet, it's always at the right times. He always seems to make the timing correctly of his slide tackles, and that's something we need because we've had a lot of centre-backs that go to ground too easily. Mustafi is someone that comes to mind. Gabriel Paulista, who was also Brazilian, he all had a bit of difficulty with that. Socrates has his moments when he goes to ground too easily, so we really need a bit more of a reassured sort of presence at centre-back. And although he doesn't have a lot of experience playing at the top level, he does have those sort of qualities where he keeps calm under pressure, and particularly in those sort of positions where he has to decide where he's going to ground or if he's staying on his feet. I noticed a lot of his anticipations, not for when he was going to ground, but he used his physical frame to sort of stay upright and allowed him to block a lot of the shots. And he's not slow for someone his size. He's not entirely quick. He's not one of the quickest centre backs you'll see. But for someone at 194 centimetres, you can't really consider him slow. As I just said, he's not quick. He's not a Socrates, who's actually quite quick for his size. David Luiz is probably a little bit quicker than Pablo Mari. However, he is not slow for his size. And obviously, the taller you get as the centre back, most of the time pace is sacrificed. But it's good, at least for him, that he has some sort of pace. Because, let's be real, he's probably not faced a lot of pace or a lot of real threat in the Brazilian league. No disrespect to them. He'll be coming to the Premier League and be facing a lot of quick wingers such as Mahrez, Mane, Sane, all these quick wingers that you can think of, Sterling, Martial, Rashford. It's going to be a new challenge for him. And if he comes through from that successfully, it's going to add a whole new edge or development to his game, which if he has that sort of mindset to be able to improve and adapt to that, he will end up being quite a good signing for us. Being 194 centimetres or 193 centimetres, he's quite strong in the air. I noticed that he has no issue when there's a goal kick or as there's some sort of set piece, a long sort of set piece coming from their own box, where it's sort of not from their own box, from their own half, where it sort of goes into where the group of defenders are. He doesn't seem to have any difficulty in being able to get over the attacker and head the ball clear. At the end of the day, it's sort of something that you expect from a player of that size. As I said before, he's well known because he had a very good performance against Liverpool in the Club World Cup. Apparently, he kept Salah quiet. Personally, I didn't watch the game myself, but I heard he had a very good game, and he's been a mainstay in that Flamengo defence. As I said before, 33 goals in 34 games they've conceded. For a player that's coming to such a high level of the Premier League, I don't think that's a good enough defensive record. I think there's definitely room for improvement there. It's not terrible, but we are talking a massive step up from the Brazilian League to the Premier League. Now, in some respects, you would probably have to trust Edu on this. And why I do say that is because not only does he have a vast knowledge of the Brazilian market, he has also signed Gabriel Martinelli, another Brazilian that's ended up being a massive success for us. However, he is much of a younger player. Pablo Mari is 26. So it is really touch and go about whether he can cut it at this level. And that leads on comfortably to going through his cons. What I've noticed with Pablo Mari is that although he wins a lot of tackles, he can be very out of position when winning these tackles. And if there's another player that comes to mind in that respect, that's Chokran and Mustafi. He can win tackles in interesting areas of the pitch. He can win tackles in different areas of the pitch. But does that mean he's in the right position? Definitely not, because the last thing we need, particularly for a centre-back such as Pablo Mari with not a lot of pace, the last thing we need is him pushing up on midfielders and centre-backs, and he gets caught out because of his pace and doesn't win the ball, and ultimately we're then left short of a centre-back on a counter-attack and leaving us more threatened in our defensive third. I did notice he did that a lot. Yes, he did win a lot of tackles in those areas, but coming to the Premier League where there's probably quicker decision-making and there's more pressure on the ball, I think he will find that to be a bit of challenging, and he will have to rid that from his game, because that was the biggest concern for me. And the only reason why I bring that up is particularly because of players like Mustafi in the past. Gabriel also used to do that as well. We had a lot of centre-backs that would push up in unnecessary areas onto the midfielders that currently had the ball. Although I do think it's good at times to play a high-pressing game, and I am aware that Flamengo have played a high-pressing game in their success. Let's hope that he's able to sort of fit in at Arsenal at the style we play, because I know Arteta is looking to play a bit more high-pressing, and I do hope that he fits into that level comfortably. Obviously, he's not a spring chicken. He is 26, but that isn't to the peak of his career. So fingers crossed he can sort of get to a high level in that respect. The biggest one for me is that not only is he has no Spanish caps, he has not played for his country at any level. He has not played in the La Liga, the highest level in Spain. That is alarming for me. Now, obviously, he has played at the highest level for Brazil. We signed Gabriel Paulista from the highest level in Brazil. How did that turn out? He was a decent centre-back, but not quite at that level. Now, I'm not saying you can't get good centre-backs in the Brazilian league, because Using Gabriel Palista as an example, he didn't cut it at Arsenal, but he's actually done quite well at Valencia since he left. So these players are good enough for a European level, but for a calibre of a club such as Arsenal and for what we're trying to do in getting back to the top four, there must be a reason why all these other bigger clubs such as United, Chelsea, even City, why they aren't going for him. Because if he was really that sort of level, they would be looking at him as well. What I also noticed about him is that although he has decent pace for his size, I think he does struggle against players that run at him quite directly. There is plenty of players in the Premier League that do that. That is going to be something that he'll need to improve on. Obviously, he's not slow for his size, but he's going to be a lot more tested in the scheme of things in the Premier League than he will in the Brazilian League. I have been to a couple of Brazilian League games when I went to Brazil. It is good to watch, but it's a lot slower paced, as you probably would expect for any league in comparison to the Prem. So he will really have to adjust, and hopefully, although not being old, he's not young either. Hopefully, he still has that capacity to add to his game at that sort of age, because for me, I think the main thing is, and the main question I have for you guys is that, are we buying him because of his ability, or are we buying him because of his price tag and what we can afford right now? Obviously, we seem to be strapped in some respects for cash. I don't know why. I don't know. It's because we have too many people on the wage bill. I'm thinking that's one of the reasons, because we did spend over 100 million last window, but we seem to have an issue of putting players on high wages, particularly because we already have a lot of players on inflated wages. Obviously, players like Ozil come to mind first and foremost. But someone like Mustafi, who's close to 100k a week. Xhaka's on over 100k a week. These are the sort of players that should not be deserving that sort of money, and I think that is why we're looking at only loan signings in this window. I am probably thinking if we do sign him, he will be playing next to David Luiz, going to get that Brazilian connection. And if he ends up being a good signing, we'll be keeping him, and we'll obviously be bringing in William Saliba next year. Hopefully those two can put in a bit of a good defensive partnership, because our defense is improving. I will say that Arteta, whether it's directly the defenders or the defensive unit stemming from the midfield, we are improving in that area. I think we've still got a bit of an imbalance, because as we've improved the defense, our attack has gotten significantly worse. Obviously, Aubameyang has been out. However, even when he was playing, we were creating less chances. So Arteta is working on that, and I'm not against bringing this guy in, but for me, the big question mark is, I think we should be looking at something a little bit higher value. We have no, and I mentioned this in previous videos, we have no problem in bringing in Nicolas Pepe for 72 million and breaking our transfer record when other big clubs are in for him as well. We have no problem in doing that. We have no problems in spending 90 million in a season and a half on Lacazette and Aubameyang. Got no issue in doing that whatsoever. But we've always had a problem with spending big on centre-backs. And you have to ask, would it be better to spend a little bit less on a player from an unknown division that could be good, or will it be better just spending 50 to 60 million on a proven Premier League centre-back such as Nathan Ake, for example? Which one would be better? Because currently in the position that we are in right now, I am leaning towards Nathan Ake. As I said, I'm not against bringing in players from other leagues if they're good enough. I just hope that Edu has gotten this one right. He has not played in the highest division in Spain. That is another really alarming one for me, is that when he's been playing in Brazil, why haven't some of these Spanish teams, especially the mid-table ones or the lower ones that are maybe looking for a cheaper option, trying to either stay up or maintain their sort of status in the La Liga, why they haven't looked at him, particularly because he has played Spanish football in the past, although being second division, why haven't some of these clubs looked at bringing him in? There has been talks that at one point Guardiola was interested in bringing him back to City, but knowing the centre-backs that they have, I don't think he'd ever sort of be a starter at that level. So if he's not good enough for City, why is he going to be good enough for us? We are not Manchester City. We are not Liverpool. And I know we had a good performance against Liverpool in the Club World Cup. However, doesn't mean he should be good for us just because we're not at that Manchester City-Liverpool sort of level. Now, it's looking like it's going to be confirmed in the next 24 to 48 hours. It does look like a good start. I am just hoping he ends up being a success for us, because we have not had any luck in signing centre-backs. But to be honest, for me, and what I think of this all up as a whole, to summarise it, is that This looks like another stopgap, band-aid solution signing. We've got him on loan. Obviously, we have an option to buy. I think we may have had that for Dennis Suarez as well. But yeah, I mean, I think this is a massive risk. I really do think so. I think there's plenty of other proven players playing in Europe, not even in Brazil, that would be a better fit. There's plenty of players in the Premier League that we probably could have got 10 to 15 to 20 million more. I know it's a loan, but apparently we have an option to buy for around 7.5 million. Could have gone for Lewis Dunk for around 25, 30. He would have been much better. But although saying all this, Edu has got it right with Martinelli. He seems to have a good idea of the Brazilian market, so let's hope he works his magic and we get a centre back that is really going to take us to the next level, particularly with William Saliba coming in next season. That is all I have time for today, guys. I hope you really enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you're new. APFC, all Arsenal content, not exclusively so. Take care, guys.